Hi friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DIY Dreaming, and I'm coming to you live today from beautiful Alpharetta, Georgia. I have a ton of gilding ideas to share with you. Specifically, I'm going to show you how to make the most darling little gilded oyster jewelry dishes. This one has pearls on the bottom. I'll tell you about that in a second. But before I jump into that, I want to show you some of the seashells that I gilded last summer and a few projects that I've made recently. So last summer I was on a major gilding binge. What is gilding? Gilding is when you apply a special kind of glue on an object and then you apply a thin sheet of a metal, a precious metal of some sort, like gold or silver or copper. And then you let that adhere to the glue, and then you brush off the excess, and you have something really beautiful. Super easy, no artistic abilities required at all, I promise. So anyway, so last summer I was on a major binge with gilding everything I possibly could, and that binge lasted into fall, so probably later this season I'll be showing you a ton of gilding ideas for fall themes. But let me show you a couple pieces that I made last summer. This was this big conch, I don't know how you say that, seashell that I had picked up. It wasn't in great shape, so I didn't feel bad about gilding it. This is my actual little display. Let me see if I can show you without tipping it over. And this is what I had up last summer, and I just stuck it away in a cabinet. Hey Diane, how you doing? And brought it back out this year. This was a kind of a design, a silver long line that I put on this piece. On these seashells, I did, can you guys see, I did multiple colors of leaf. I did sand dollars. Here's another sand dollar with more of a design on it. I did these. They're really kind of ugly, just plain little seashells that I had picked up years ago, probably in North or South Carolina, I don't remember. Some of these, long guys. Another fun thing that I made last summer are these salt and pepper cellars. So I'll bring those closer so you can see. These were just some nice big seashells that I had, and I just gilded the outside and inside edge. And then you put your salt and pepper in there, and you can use a teeny little spoon, or you can just use your fingers to take a pinch. And those look kind of pretty sitting on a summery table. Also, I showed this yesterday in the live that I did, but I want to show it to you again. This was a big starfish that I painted silver, and then I gilded the little spikes on the top with gold leaf. And these are a couple projects that I made using the oyster shells, which I'm going to tell you all about. And if you are interested in doing this project, please let me know. I wrote a whole thing about how oysters forming pearls are a good representation of what it's like to live as a believer in Jesus Christ in this fallen world, and how we deal with all the hurts that come our way because we live in a fallen world. And with the oyster, they get a little grain of sand in them, and that is an irritation. And from that hurt, they build beautiful pearls, excuse me. And so I wrote this whole thing about how we can do something similar with our lives to what the oyster does. So if you're interested in this, let me know, and maybe I can either send you the information, or if you're in Georgia, we could possibly set something up, because I would love to do this presentation for a church or a group, a community group, a ladies fellowship group, mothers of preschoolers. If anyone knows any MOPS groups that are looking for speakers, just let me know, I'd be interested. Okay, so this is one I made, and this says, "Be still and know." It's from that awesome Bible verse. And this one says, "Faith and love." So I painted both of these canvases. They're very similar to the projects that I did yesterday. But I used gel ink, and then I gilded around the edges, and I used metallic chalk art to stencil the words, and then I glued the gilded shells on. Okay, so but what I'm showing you today is how to make these. There's two ways to get oysters. You can purchase them at the grocery store and cook something delicious at your house, or eat them raw, however you prefer to do that. And then you're going to have to do a ton of work to get the smell and the slimy stuff out of the oyster shells themselves after. And that may include having to bleach them, but they do come out and they look fabulous if you're willing to do all that. I was not willing to do all that, so what I did is I went to Amazon and I Googled or searched, oops, I guess it's not Google. I did an Amazon search for oyster shells, and apparently you can buy them, and they're like not expensive at all. They come in different sizes. This was the medium. I got a whole package of them, and they're all clean. They don't smell bad. They're all ready to go. So if you would like to have the link to the place that I ordered my oyster shells, just leave me a comment. Or you can send me a private message if you would like, and I'll get that to you. Okay, so to do your oysters, basically the first step is you're going to take some sandpaper and you're going to feel the edge of your oyster shell, and if there are any sharp spots or really pointy spots, you can file those off and then wash your oyster shell. Then you're going to take this special glue I was talking about earlier. This happens to come from a maker studio, and it's called Gilding Size. And basically it's the special glue that adheres well with the metallic leaf. And you cannot use Elmer's glue or any other kind of glue. It won't work the same. So I just dipped a little foam brush, but you could use a paintbrush too if you wanted, in here. And then I went around the edges of my oyster shell. And it's up to you. Some people like to do the whole entire inside. I've done that with regular seashells, but I think this thing on oysters is pretty, and I didn't want to cover that completely up. The other option is that you could gild the complete outside if you want. Or you can just gild around the edges, or you can do a design. It's completely up to you. Then you're going to let your gilding size come to tack, and that is just a fancy word for get sticky enough, okay? If you don't wait long enough, and usually it's about 15 minutes, you have an hour roughly of tack time, but if you don't wait long enough, then your leaf won't stick very well. Okay, and then there's multiple colors, which I want to show you. There's this beautiful one called Variegated Copper, and it looks like this. These are also from a maker studio, and they come in a little booklet of 25 pieces. They go a really long ways. You can do a surprisingly long list of projects using just one little book. There's silver leaf, and this is what the silver looks like. And then there is copper. This is just plain copper, so it doesn't have the spots that look like oil spots on it as compared to the variegated copper. And it looks like this. Find a piece. And then there is gold leaf. This summer I've done a ton of things in gold. And I did some of these oyster shells that I have here in gold. So this is what that looks like. It's just completely personal preference, what you like. But for today's project, since I haven't done one in this yet, I thought we would use the variegated copper. Okay, so about 20 minutes before I came live, I painted all the edges of my oyster shell. And I had sanded it to take away any sharp spots. It's hard to see on this video, but it will sort of get translucent when it's come to tack. And then I'm just going to take my little booklet, excuse me, and I'm going to fold over the little divider orange sheets. This is the best way to handle your booklets, because if you have any size left on your fingers, it will stick to it. So it's really easier to work with if you fold over the little orange sleeves and hold it by the binding. Okay, and then I'm really just going to lay this on top and push it down, and then I'll pull away my book, and I'm going to take these little orange pieces out. This is what I have right now. Okay, I'm going to just sort of push the leaf down on my oyster shell. I want to make sure it's covered everywhere. And then you can either wad up this little piece of paper and rub the big pieces off. That's one way. It's pretty effective with these oyster shells. Or you can take a stiff brush, hey Mary, and you can just brush away the gilding that didn't stick to the areas that you didn't put size on. And the gilding from a maker studio is super nice, but let me just tell you this. It's not real gold or real copper or real silver. So it's perfectly fine to use a whole sheet for each seashell. You don't have to be frugal with it because it's not valuable. These little booklets are less than $10. I mean, it's wonderful stuff, but it's not like anything you have to be super frugal with. You're not dealing with real gold. Okay, so that is what that looks like right now. Having just told you that it's not super valuable, I'm going to also tell you something else. I have this little box that is filled with all these scraps of leaf. And I'm saving this because I love to do projects where I just pull out a handful of mixed little bits of gold, silver, copper, and variegated copper. And I love to be able to use these little pieces. So I'm going to just scoop up the bigger pieces. Try not to sneeze into my dish because if I do, it'll be everywhere. Last summer, this was my husband's biggest pet peeve, was that there was gold and silver leaf everywhere in the house. At one point, he was kind of upset with me. He said, there's even leaf on the dog's noses. So, anyways, okay, so this is where we are right now. Okay, now something I want you to be able to see is, what does the inside of the seashell look like? That's the one I just leafed. This one, can you notice the difference, how it's sort of opalescent or has a little sparkle to it? Well, I figured out. I mean, this is perfectly beautiful, but if you want to just take it up one more notch and make it look like this, I'm going to show you how to do that. I am all about using what you have, and so I was thinking, how can I make this look shiny? And then I thought, oh my goodness, I have this awesome chalk art from a maker studio that is metallic silver. And so I basically just stuck my finger in my little pot and I'm rubbing this on. The seashell. You can decide how iridescent you want it to be. So you could just do one coat, which I'll show you what it looks like, or you could do one coat, let that dry, and come back and do some more. This stuff is great. I use this for all kinds of things. But anyways, now, can you kind of see how it is iridescent? And it just looks prettier, like this one. This one I think I may have done two, trying to get the light good so you can see, 2 coats of the silver, metallic silver chalk art. This one I think I did the same thing. And I don't remember specifically, but that looks like 1 or 2 coats of it on this one. So what you need to do this project is you need seashells, sand dollars, starfish. They can be really pretty or not. They can be things that you've just picked up on your holidays, so you have memories of doing that with your family. Or you could do oysters that are something that you've purchased and eaten either from the grocery store or a restaurant and that you cleaned them up really, really well. Or you can jump on handy dandy Amazon and order a bag of oysters. Then you're gonna need your leaf. And as I said before, let me just show you the colors. Okay, there's gold leaf, silver leaf, copper leaf, and variegated copper leaf. And then you're gonna need a little pot of this fancy dancy special glue, which is called a Maker Studio gilding size. And then if you want the inside of your project, you can use this on seashells too, you guys. Want it to look iridescent? Then get yourself a little pot, these are not expensive at all, of a Maker Studio silver metallic chalk art. And the finishing touch can be, if you want, but these do sit pretty nice, and they do have a pretty deep well in them, so I could see taking my wedding ring off and, and you know, setting it in here on the nightstand by my bed if I wanted, just plain. Whoops. Or you can get your glue gun out and get some little, these are just little pearly kind of beads, just to help it stand up a little bit, and hot glue 4 of them on there, and you're good to go. And this would make a sweet gift for a friend, for your mom. They'd make a great party favor if you were throwing a bachelorette party or having any kind of a wedding gathering to give to all the bridesmaids. It'd be a great gift for Mother's Day. It'd be a fabulous little stocking stuffer to give to the women in your life that you love at Christmas too. Great birthday present. It's all about the presentation, so put it in something pretty and tell them that you made it yourself and they'll love it. So I think that is all I wanted to show you today. Pretty soon I'm going to move off the summer binge that I've been on and get on to fall, but I do think I have 1 or 2 more summer things to show you, so be watching. Hey, and if I didn't already tell you, which I don't think I did today, be sure to check out my YouTube channel. It's DIY Dreaming. That is where I'm going to, for sure, post all of my videos, and then there's a little informational thing just below that will have affiliate links, so if you want to get some variegated copper leaf, you can just hop right on and place your order right there. Look for those links also on Facebook and Instagram. So anyways, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again to DIY Dream some more.